Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to OLC TV for some more Total War 3 Kingdoms, the Furious Wild DLC. A big thank you to CA for giving me early access to this. And for our faction preview today, we have completed all the new factions, but what we have not done is have a look at some of the existing prominent factions and seeing how they may have changed and what the game mechanics are like now with the new DLC in play. So we shall be going through the recommended characters for our faction preview series. We of course have done Monghua already, but for our first one of the recommended characters now, we will be looking at Cao Cao. So for those of you who have been following the channel for a while, know I have a little bit of a crush on Cao Cao. He is by far my favoured faction to play as. I have read his biography countless times. I've read Rafe de Crespigny's own work on him, Imperial Warlord, which is an incredible read if anybody wants to do it. I've read Leban's own works. I adore the character of Cao Cao, how he rose, manipulated the situation, and grew to become the #1 player of the time, and set up the foundations to allow for a new dynasty, a new Chinese imperial dynasty to be founded after him. And I don't just mean Cao Wei, the Wei dynasty under Cao Pi. I actually mean the Jin dynasty as well, because without Cao Cao's foundations and without all the reforms that Cao Cao did to farming, to national infrastructure, to a meritocracy rather than nepotism, though of course there was still a level of nepotism, but he actually advanced people based on their merit rather than based on their background and who they knew. And that was then enabled the Jin dynasty to actually start to set itself up. Of course, it all fell apart in the Jin dynasty as well, because they overcompensated with some of the mistakes of the Wei dynasty, and that led to a downfall. But that will be discussed in more detail in another video in the future. But Cao Cao, the 190 Rise of the Warlords start date. This is before Cao Cao becomes the big dog. This is when Cao Cao has just left the coalition. He has been defeated by Xurong. He has fled back to Xuanzhao. He has tried to persuade the warlords at Xuanzhao to press Dongzhuo to move into. He doesn't want there to be a conflict, like an actual fight. What he wants is for these armies to move into position and start to hem Dongzhuo in, to force him to make mistakes, and to make the best use of the fact that the coalition forces were crap and Dongzhuo's forces were veterans, so they could actually start to fight this very, very defensive, more positional, strategic game rather than battle by battle. But of course the warlords didn't listen to him, so he returned, he recruited more soldiers, and then he ended up back. In this game, it has him, unfortunately, in slightly the wrong area. I mean, he did go back to Chao, his hometown, which is in this rough area, but of course that was controlled by Liu Chong. Liu Chong, for whatever reason, has control of Xu and Yingchuan, which was actually under the command of someone else at that time, and Cao Cao sold all of his family lands to recruit his own army, and actually did not necessarily have his own lands and had to rely on Yuan Shao, and he was arguably a vassal, an independent vassal, but a vassal of Yuan Shao at this stage, and he would start to set up in sort of Dong area here, which is where Huang Shao is. He would take Luoyang as well, which is sort of up here somewhere, but we'll have a look a little bit more about that in the very near future. Now, Cao Cao, we know about Cao Cao. He is the strategic mastermind. He has a playstyle focus on manipulation. Of course, his starting situation is easy. He actually, they say his starting situation is easy. He has some very good soldiers. He has some very, very good officers that come to him, and we will be discussing them in detail. But this Central Plains area is an absolute pit of death in the mid-game, because everybody's vying for resources. Early game, Cao Cao's pretty easy. You've got Huang Shao, for reasons unbeknownst to me, up in Dong when he really should be in Runan. You have He Yi, who is a subordinate of Huang Shao, actually where he should be in Runan. You have Gongdu, God knows why, over here when that really should be Jianglu. So the 190 start date I don't particularly like, because it just messes with the history too much, in my opinion. They have genuine characters they could use. Like Huang Shao here could be just bandit territory, which it was, and you could have a really cool bandit there. For example, Zheng Jiang, why is she here? She should not exist in this location. She should be over here. And I know she comes around 210 historically, but this is a game, you want to play with the histories. They can move her over here, move Huang Shao down here, and just have 3 separate Yellow Turban factions here in much the same way you get with the original 182 Yellow Turban Uprising. But hey, enough about that. He's surrounded with people he can't fully trust. That is Yuan Shao, that is Tao Qian, that is, of course, Liu Bei, who should not be an independent faction at this stage. Liu Bei should be up here, and he should be a vassal of Tian Kai, who is a vassal of Gongsun Zan. Anyway, and this should be Gongsun Du's territory, not Kong Rong's. But yeah, fine. Ignore this. He has the ability to incite proxy wars, which we know. He can influence diplomatic relations, which is so powerful. And his credibility just recovers over time, so you just have to wait a few turns and then you can do more. And of course, you can do certain actions which will help speed up. He has my favourite. Now, I know technically the Xiliang cavalry is better, but they're just not as good. I'm sorry. The heavy tiger and leopard cavalry can pin the Xiliang. If you don't let the Xiliang cavalry get their charge off and you hit them with the heavy tiger and leopard cavalry, you'll rip them apart. The heavy tiger and leopard cavalry, because it is an all-rounder. It says low damage, but they ruin soldiers. It's low damage in comparison to, a nuclear weapon. It's not low damage, really. He has the farming garrisons, which of course he's famous for. He's not the only person who implemented Tuntians. Tao Qian definitely had Tuntians, and Gongsun Zan implemented Tuntians. But what the likes of Han Hao, Zhao Zhi, and others came up with was a specialized version of the Tuntian that really accelerated and helped rebuild the Central Plains into this farming powerhouse after they had been ripped apart by rebellion, banditry, the Yellow Turbans, and warfare. And so he has all of these wonderful buildings. As far as noteworthy characters go, it is unfortunate that they only list Xiahou Dun and Xiahou Yuan here, because he has so many that come to him so quickly in this game. But to start with, he does only have Xiahou Dun, Xiahou Yuan, his father, Cao Song, his wife, Lady Bian, and his other cousin, Cao Ren. Now, Cao Ren really should be a noteworthy character too. It is a shame he is not. He actually, at this time, Xiahou Yuan was a very junior officer. Xiahou Dun, of course, is Cao Cao's second in command, basically, in all military affairs, and at this stage in pretty much all affairs. And Cao Ren is another very senior commander, certainly more senior than Xiahou Yuan. But Xiahou Dun, we know he is the hot-headed officer. He has followed Cao Cao now for a period of time, possibly even since he first rose troops to fight against the Yellow Turbans. He is his most trusted member of his court. He's a family member. He is extraordinarily good at civic affairs. He is seen in this game, and of course in Dynasty Warriors and everything else, as this hot-headed fighter who duels people, who loses his eye and eats it and all the rest. But actually, he is a man who promoted scholarship, promoted farming reform. The people who came under his control, like Han Hao and Zhao Zhi, were actually the people who implemented the farming reform. That was all part of Xiahou Dun's department. So he is much more than how he is seen in this game. In fact, the one thing he was not really that good at was being a military officer. He had some very minor successes, but generally he lost battles when he was fighting on his own. As a subordinate to Cao Cao, he was brilliant. But on his own, he was not all that. But he was extraordinarily trusted. He was one of the few people Cao Cao would trust with the main army whilst Cao Cao was away with the elite troops. And that is saying something, because in a warlord state at this time, your power was based on your troops. And leaving your troops in command of someone else was inviting rebellion. And Xiahou Dun was loyal to the core. The younger cousin, Xiahou Yuan, cousin of Xiahou Dun, and of course a cousin of Cao Cao. He was an extraordinarily talented, brave officer. He of course led the Western armies that pacified the Liang revolt. He led the attacks down in Hanzhong against Liu Bei. He defended against Liu Bei's counterattacks in Hanzhong. He was of course eventually killed by Huang Zhong. Xiahou Yuan, however brilliant he was, had one mistake, and that he was too brave. He didn't know when to not fight. And Cao Cao had warned him about this in the past, and it led to his death. Which was a shame, because under his command, he had the likes of Zhang He. In a period of time as well, he had the likes of Xu Huang, Zhu Ling. Incredibly talented commanders followed him. And of course, it is the bravery of Zhang He, amongst others, that led to the army actually being saved after Xiahou died in the western regions. Very important character. We will discuss the others as we come across them in game, but let's just have a quick look here so we can remind ourselves just how brilliant Cao Cao is. He's a commander, of course, which is not one of the most useful officer types, character types, but this is Cao Cao. And they have tweaked Commander since A World Betrayed, so Commander is sort of like a low-level strategist in many ways. He can give you certain benefits that strategists used to be the only ones they could give. But as far as commanders go, he is the king of authority. Absolutely insane. He can max out authority in the blink of an eye. And most of these will work really in his favor as a commander. He has a reduction in his deployment cost, he has a recruitment cost reduction for cavalry, and he has more spy positions available. Cao Cao watches dynasties fall and tyrants rise. He's seen power slip into the hands of the undeserving, and through the chaos plots a path back to order by his hand. Regarded as a strategic genius, he pursues victory at any cost, assured that that the ends always justify the means. Though some call him ruthless, Cao Cao is nevertheless mindful and considerate, maintaining agricultural garrisons to protect both his supplies and the populace during inhospitable times. Yes, he was ruthless. I think all of the warlords at this time were ruthless. They had to be to survive. The ones that were too nice got eaten up very, very quickly. But he had a great idea of balancing both the agriculture, the economy, and the military, which is not something that either Sun Quan or Liu Bei ever managed to do as effectively as him. And not for want of trying or for want of land that could provide the same things. They all had access to good food-producing lands, to good economic territory. Of course, not in the same scale as Cao Cao, because he was the biggest. But they never managed to develop it in the same way, so they were always fighting with shortages, while Cao Cao was not, eventually, which made him extraordinarily powerful and able to have his armies on campaign for longer without affecting his harvest. This was key to this period. Right, enough of that. Let's get into it.
火尽灰飞，点亮夜色。董卓权倾朝野，奸浊世间。洛阳一片火海，诛灭燕患后，朝野混乱。汉室起于鸡心之上。黑暗之中，亦有机遇，是所谓弱肉强食。曹操审时度势，伺机而动，无论是何代价，都要恢复天下秩序。洛阳烟火彤彤，今已化为丘墟。如此大祸，皆因董卓权势熏天。此贼劫迁天子，可谓暴虐之极，又不失为一条毒计。董贼掌控朝廷，便可掌控天下。
孤乃当今治世之能臣，乱世之奸雄也。
讨董联军主公以为如何？他们
君合力不齐，此蒙羞矣。不过，众人倒可借此彰显昔日威风。如此看来，争天下为王者，舍孤其谁？盈缩之期，不但在天，养怡之福，可得永年。
Okay, here we are. Thank you, Cao Cao. So, establish your power. Lord Cao Cao, you have been cast out, branded an enemy of the Empire. It is clear that only you have the capability to end Dongzhuo's tyranny and bring peace. You can use the surging population and pliable peasantry of your homelands to your advantage, or vulnerable foes to the north may make expansion there beneficial. The time has come to increase your prestige and influence, then unite what has been divided. Beware of Yuanshu to the west and Taoqian to the east. Claim the neighbouring Han Empire regions. Pursued by Dongzhuo's men, Cao Cao prepares to fight. The coalition is finished and the tyranny of Dongzhuo endures. Despite your intentions, the time has now come to look to other plans. Although you've returned home, there is little time to waste. The tyrant has sent Han forces to apprehend you. They must be defeated before we can look to our future. So he sent Huan to apprehend us. Now, there is a historic truth to this. After Cao Cao was beaten by Xu Rong, Cao Cao's men actually put up a really stubborn fight, which gained Xu Rong's respect, and he could not properly destroy Cao Cao's army, even though it had routed. They routed in comparatively good order, despite the fact they were rookies. They were untried soldiers for the most part. Now, on being beaten back, Dongzhuo at this time started to unleash the likes of Li Jue, Guo Si, and some of his other mid-ranking commanders, as they were at this stage, to go behind enemy lines and start to just raid. And Cao Cao and the other commanders of the coalition did find that there were these minor forces starting to destroy a huge amount of territory within their homelands where they were getting their supplies from, etc. Now, there is no record of Cao Cao personally being involved in any of this fighting. He sort of went back to Chao, built up his army, and then headed up towards the Yellow River to be nearby Yuan Shao so he could get some benefits from that. But certainly there is a precedent historically for this type of event to have happened. Now, always we want to have a look at this. We've got 9 chapters of mathematical art and military expert. Okay, not too bad at all. Now, let's have a look at the characters here. So we've discussed Xiahou Dun and Xiahou Yuan. Next, we need to discuss Lady Bian. So Lady Bian is actually Cao Cao's second wife. His first wife, and he had multiple concubines, of course, but like chief concubine, the wife. His first one was Lady Ding, who of course is the I don't know if she's the mother exactly of Cao Ang, or if she was just I don't think she was the mother. I think she just saw him as her son and treated him very, very well. But after Cao Ang dies, Lady Ding refuses to speak to Cao Cao and basically disappears away. She's still treated well and everything else, but she no longer accepts Cao Cao's presence and blames him for Cao Ang's death. So she doesn't have the same prominence in history as Lady Bian, who of course is the mother of many of Cao Cao's more famous children. So that's why Lady Bian is here as the main wife, even though at this time it would have been Lady Ding. But she was a brilliant behind-the-scenes diplomat, dealing with especially the relationship between the sons, looking after them, guiding them. She was a very, very capable lady who had a lot of respect from Cao Cao's court. Next we have Cao Ren, Cao Cao's younger cousin, and the twin of Cao Chun, who is the inventor of the tiger and leopard cavalry. Now, Cao Ren has a past, a youth that is spent in banditry. He likes to hunt, he likes to fight, he enlists lots of local youths, and they go a bit nuts, engaging in banditry, and that has led to him being disinherited by his family. However, when Cao Cao puts the call out, Cao Ren comes with his men, and they join, and he is given a relatively senior command. Considering Cao Cao is quite junior, he's given a relatively senior command within Cao Cao's court at this time, and trusted with an independent command. Much like Xiahou Dun was trusted with an independent command. Cao Ren would go on to become one of the most disciplined generals in Cao Cao's army. All of this hint of rebelliousness that had happened in the past disappears when he is given command, and he becomes a paragon of discipline and virtue, essentially, Virtue may be going a little bit strong, actually, but he does not hold any truck with disobeying orders, and he becomes one of Cao Cao's most trusted commanders, one of the finest defensive generals of the time in how he held his territory, as well as a very effective offensive commander. He was essentially, when Cao Cao wanted someone skull beaten in and Cao Cao could not make it there, Cao Ren was the guy who did it. He was an incredible commander. Then, of course, we have Cao Song, who is a former excellency in the Han court and Cao Cao's father. Very, very, very wealthy man, very rich. He should not actually be in Cao Cao's court at this time. He has fled to Shu province because of all the rebellions, and that will lead to his doom. So he should not really be here, and we will ignore him for the most part, because, you know, whatever. Now, Cao Cao does start with the ability to recruit a chancellor, and you can, of course, throw in any of these guys if you want. It means that you are going to take a hit to their salary because it's plus 200, but you will get plus 15% income from peasantry, which is quite nice. And Xiahou there's no reason not to give it to him in a short while. I personally don't give it to him straight away because plus 15% isn't worth the 200 yet. But once we've taken Chen, then it starts to become more useful. These guys will stay relatively happy until this point. Now, another thing we need to point out, just before we go into anything else, is before, Chen was huge and Pengcheng was tiny. Pengcheng has eaten into Chen because this is actually Pengcheng. This is where Pengcheng should be. That is where the settlement should be. It was never up here. It was all part of Pengcheng's territory, but Pengcheng itself was there. And so they've actually put Pengcheng there. They have changed the map. So the map in general, if we just flip this so we've got a proper north-south, the map in general has grown and they have added more settlements within the territory. We have got passes to fight over here. I think there's a pass there. Yes, Hulao Pass is here that we can fight over. They've made the map so much more realistic, so much better. You can no longer just send a bloody boat down here and take all the historic capitals. It's not possible. You need to do what they historically did and fight through the passes or go on a very circuitous route. It's brilliant. I was asked a question the other day, which DLC was my favorite? Now, it's a very hard question because the different DLC gives you a different starting date. But this DLC, even though it doesn't give you a new starting date, gives you a historical map, which is brilliant. It's just better, okay? It's just better. What should also be noted is here, the settlements. Before it would just say Chen and then like capital or whatever, like town, city, blah, 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 blah. And then Chen, it would be livestock farm. Now, however, you have to rely on the symbol to tell you what it is. Underneath, they actually have the name of the major settlement that was in that area at the time. So this is Suiyang, this is Peixian, this up here in Yingchuan is Shucheng, Cao Cao's capital. And then we have Chen Liu up here, which is something we will talk about in the near future because this was actually a hugely important area for Cao Cao because Cao Cao ended up in this region. We can't see the names of the cities, but he was up here. Actually, he wasn't down here. He came down here to recruit troops and then he buggered off. This was Liu Chong's territory. Anyway, enough about the history. Let's apply some of our stuff. So this will give reserves, this will give instinct. You know what? You can definitely have the instinct, my man. Reserves and the like. We're going to hold on to this for a while because we may recruit someone who can use that in the near future. On this front, we will equip this for now, though it's better served elsewhere, and then you can have this. Again, it's better served elsewhere, but we don't need to worry about that at all. Xiahou is an extremely talented champion in this game. Cao Cao is an extremely talented commander in this game. They are two types, champion and commander, that I would not normally pay any attention to whatsoever. We're going to throw in a building here. We're just going to throw in some government support because, of course, this is a farming territory and we want to make as much food as possible because food in this game is king. It is everything. We're going to have a look at a trade agreement too. We have a choice of Liu Chong and Liu Dai. Liu Chong provides a little bit more money. Liu Dai provides a little bit of extra resources. We're actually going to go for Liu Dai. This is a choice I'm making that slightly influenced by history. Liu Dai was, of course, an ally of Cao Cao's and Yuan Shao's. He was also an ally of Gongsun Zan until Gongsun Zan and Yuan Shao fell out. He was married into both the Yuan family and the Gongsun family, or his family intermarried with them. But Liu Dai has the likes of Cheng Yu in his forces, who would become a very important strategic advisor and military commander for Cao Cao, especially in the early days. Very loyal man, ruthless, utterly ruthless individual, but very, very loyal. So I'm doing that mostly for the historic reasons, not for anything else. What we can do as well is receive marriage if we so wanted to. So we can bring in a commander. Now, like I said, Cao Song is going to die. He should actually have his own wife and everything else, but you know, hey. We can bring her in, it's only -3, and if we wanted to, we could then, for example, just, what's he? He's got lots of food. We could throw some money at him to make this work, for example, if we wanted to. I am not going to do that. I'm just going to ask for... Let's have a look, see if he's got any ancillaries, because it's turn 1. He does have some good ancillaries. Are any of them particularly useful? He's particularly useful, but that's going to cost a lot of money. No, don't worry about that. We are just going to request some money. He's not going to be able to pay much per turn, but we'll just request 81 for now, and we will take the deal with him. What we're also going to do is have a look at the assignments here. We have these boys here. We're going to throw, I think, Cao Song in just to tax the peasantry, give us a little bit of a boost to income. Our public order is decreasing. That's nothing to worry about at all. And we are going to have a look at Cao Cao's army. So Cao Cao, of course, starts off with the heavy tiger and leopard cavalry. In the early game, these guys win you battles. In the mid game, these guys win you battles. And in the late game, they win you battles. You will keep them from day one. And in fact, you want to switch these mounted saber militia out as fast as you possibly can for more of the heavy tiger and leopard cavalry. But you have to wait for him to level up a little bit before you recruit them. He has some saber militia, which is pretty good. Archer militia. We have 2 lots of spear guards, 2. We've got more saber militia. It's a pretty solid starting army. It is in fact better than he would have had historically at this time. This unit here, by the way, is supposed to be Cao Chun, Cao Ren's twin brother, because Cao Chun was forming this unit around, well, not quite at this time, a little bit later, but you know, for example. And the first thing we're going to do is just jump in here and we're going to thump this guy into oblivion. So this is going to be really easy. We'll fight it just because, and I think we can win this without losing too many casualties at all. I'll see you in the fight. Okay, here we are. So our army is pretty solid. His army is pretty useless. We have a huge swathe of cavalry, which is going to swing over on this flank. We've got these boys up at the front. We can do turtle, of course, because we've got that awesome skill book thing that the Cao Cao's ancillary gives. We have Cao Cao on the front rank. He, of course, gives us huge buff, but he can also duel pretty damn effectively as well. Of course, Xiahou Dun is a duelist, specialized duelist as well. We are going to shift the army up. We're going to send the cavalry right into this area here. You two are going to rush straight forward because we want to distract their archers. I think... Xiahou Dun, are you in range? Because you can go and beat this man to death. All right, you want to fight Cao Cao? Yeah, your choice, my man, your choice. I don't care who you fight. Just understand you're gonna die. Cao Cao. People see Cao Cao as this great strategic mind, which of course he was. What they forget is he could fight. He was small, he was wiry, and he was extraordinarily talented at martial arts as well. And he spent the good majority of his early years fighting with a sword in hand. In fact, not just his early years, it was up until, I believe, his mid-50s when he finally put his sword down. He fought personally in the Huayin campaign against the Liang tribes, and that was the last time he is recorded as having fought. So he was brutal, really stupidly effective fighter, led troops from the front, which of course is quite a major thing for a commander of his stature at that time to have been doing. He was very well regarded in a martial sense. You boys charge them, you chase, just want to see, watch this charge, devastation, they've smashed straight into them. It's not a case that the Tiger and Leopard cavalry don't hit hard, they don't do much damage, they do incredible damage, right? You boys can help out over here. We're just going to kill as many as we can for the upgrades. I don't think we lost a man. Cao Cao barely got scratched. Xiaodun barely got scratched. It's that powerful. Tiger and Leopard cavalry are that powerful early game. The militia just don't stand. This cav, of course, is mounted save militia. They're not all that bad, but you know, I mean, I know they were chasing people, but look at that. Look at that for kills. Just they charged a unit and destroyed them. Cao Cao's doing well catching up. Xiaodun has pretty much got them. There's only 2 of them left. Well, there you go. You've eaten them up already. Fantastic. I wonder how many survived. 0! Yes, we annihilated their whole army. We're going to get maximum experience for this. And Tiger and Leopard have moved up a level. Fantastic. That's exactly what we want to see. 240 kills. Yep. Yuan Huan utterly destroyed. We're going to take the money. We don't need replenishment. And we have won that. Glorious victory. This is just the beginning. A cautious tactical beginning. I don't think it was all that cautious. From here, I must continue to consolidate and expand. Future victory will come only through careful strategy. Bonus experience. The banner of war is raised and Cao Cao marches. You are safe for now, Lord Cao Cao, but we cannot rest. The time has come to expand your rule. The nearby farmland is an opportunity waiting to be seized and a chance to push back against those enthralled to Dongzhuo. We need to take Chen Pei Xian, which is pretty straightforward. It's right there. Now, talked about the banners have been raised and all the rest. That is a genuine historic thing. Cao Cao raised his banners and people from all over this immediate area came to join him, as well as like friends and family from across China where they had relations. Amongst those was a chap called Yue Jin, who will show up in an event later. Also a chap called Yu Jin. So when it comes to recruitment, which of course this is turn 1, we can't, but the candidates here, we are looking for specific people to show up because they are historically Cao Cao's people, and they are, in this game, even though they may not all have unique portraits, they're really quite good. Anyway, here we go. Chen Pei Xian. Decisive victory. This is going to be very, very quick and easy. I'm not going to fight it because, you know, we'd win. Occupy, of course. We need to occupy it. And the banner of war is raised. Cao Cao marches. We have support from the people, which is going to give us improved public order and faction-wide support, which is quite nice. Establishing order. This settlement will be a valuable tool in our continuing endeavors. It must thrive. Population must grow that it might best serve our needs. Yes, and Cao Cao administrates firmly but fairly. Although you have your eyes on the future, my lord, do not forget that you must remain strong both at home as well as in the field. Our home infrastructure can be developed, rich farmland and fertile plains should be nurtured. Doing so can only aid us. If we need to construct or upgrade a building in Chen Suiyang, which I am already doing, next turn it will be completed. So all of that is good. Unfortunately, we cannot recruit or do anything else at this time. Because actually you want to start to be looking at throwing out more troops, but it is turn 1, and that is all we can do. Let's move on. So of course you'll notice as well, they have changed the colours somewhat. Cao Cao has gone blue. This is not something I'm overly happy with. I believe they've made the Sun family red and Liu Bei green as well. There's no historical accuracy with that whatsoever, and it does upset me a tiny bit. Not to say that Cao Cao didn't necessarily have a blue flag. You do see a lot of Cao Cao's personal flag replicas being this sort of dark blue and all the rest. Certainly the flag of Wei, which came later, was yellow. But of course he is not the Duke of Wei, King of Wei, nor is he the Emperor of Wei. Yet he wouldn't become the Emperor of Wei till after he died, and that was a posthumous title. But the Wei definitely were yellow. So Wu were green for a huge chunk of time. Then of course they went yellow as well when Sun Quan declared himself emperor. And of course Liu Bei, as a loyalist to the Han, apparently, I will keep the loyalist in quotation marks, was red because that was the Han color. But of course, at this stage, they were all commanding their own personal units, and they would have had whatever color they fancied, really. Their red was sort of a thing for the military units, because it resembles, it is fire. An army is called, and Cao Cao looks to lead. Word of your efforts has spread, and there are now many who admire your ambition, believing you to be the one who with the strength and drive to unite China. They're willing to put their faith in your leadership and offer their talents in your service. It's time for you to start recruiting warriors for the long battle ahead. Yes, we need more people. That's why I wanted to recruit straight away. Character developments here. Who do we have? We have Lu Kang, Nie Zhi, Miao Wanwan. These are people who we don't need. To be blunt, we don't need them. We're looking for more important people. Now this, I have no need of any of this building ever. You always get more money trading your food than you do from selling it through this means. We could increase our food supplies here. We could spend this and increase food production, or we could up this. I think we will up this. Now, we can shift all the way over here to Ruyang, or we can shift all the way here, smash Pengcheng, and take that from the Yellow Turbans. I am going to do just that. It's a decisive victory. We have minimal casualties. So I'm just going to delegate it. It's just a town battle, even though it's new territory. It doesn't get any special stuff for it. And we're taking that. Now, why are we taking that? Because we know very, very shortly this fool here is going to kill our father. Like I said, our father should not be in our court. He's over here somewhere, and he's traveling back. Now, Tao Qian and Cao Cao have a history of fighting amongst themselves. We're going to have to demolish these. They have a history of fighting amongst themselves that predates Cao Cong's execution. In fact, there's a lot of historical evidence to suggest that Cao Cong was killed by Tao Qian. It was not this historically dubious attempt by Romance of Three Kingdoms to make Tao Qian seem virtuous. He was not. He supported bandits. He befriended someone who would become a rival emperor, and only at the last minute turned against him. He was another player, another warlord, like all the rest of them, right? And it's only because of his association with Liu Bei that it makes him sound to be very, very good. He was not. And Cao Cao and him had been fighting for a long time. He was, of course, as part of the alliance against Yuan Shao's alliance. Cao Cao was part of Yuan Shao's alliance, so there was conflict there too. And that is probably why Tao Qian had Cao Cong killed, or at least Tao Qian's officers decided to kill Cao Cong. And that is why Cao Cao went in there and absolutely ruined this territory. Now, Pengcheng should be Tao Qian's, because what Cao Cao did historically was come into Pengcheng, which was held by Liu Bei. Liu Bei fled, and Cao Cao came into Pengcheng and just destroyed everything. You can see as well, we have a new territory here, Xiapi. Xiapi, of course, is famous because that is where Liu Bei holed up, and when Lu Bu took the territory from Liu Bei, that's where Lu Bu was, and Lu Bu kicked him out to Xiaopei, which was a different area, so down here, I believe. I'm not 100% certain where it is on this map. So they've added this, which is great because it's a historical name for it. It's not, and it's like Huainan. This is the historical name. It should never have been Yanzhou. Yanzhou was the province name, not the commandery name. So yeah, it's great to see that. Absolutely great to see that. Now we have taken that, and we've had our history lesson. Let us add some more troops to this army. We can, of course, add the medium tiger and leopard cavalry from the beginning, which is quite nice. I am, in fact, going to do that. You guys can piss off. We want some good soldiers in there. Just to change that up. On this front, we could do with some more of those. And I will leave it at that for now there. But on this front, what I am going to do is throw out these chaps into one army. Actually, I believe you should probably be the commander. No, you have nothing that makes you a better commander right now. So, okay, it doesn't matter who's the commander. We're going to put them there and raise them because they're going to head off and take Ruyang for me later. Okay, with that done, let's move on. Next turn. We have a good amount of money coming in from our territories here. And if we can advance very, very quickly and chew up all of this territory before Yuan Shu and people start to grow, then we'll be in a good place. I think Liu Chong is going to make a beeline for... oh, fantastic, we've completed that. It's going to make a beeline for Chen as well, so I don't know if we're going to make it there in time. Opportunity glimmers and Cao Cao senses power. Your initial advances were promising, my lord, but bolder steps are required. You must take control of the entire commandery. By doing so, you will solidify a central position that allows you to administrate and strategize more effectively. From such a position, you can then more easily expand your influence and fight any other warlords in your way. Opportunity glimmers from each according to their ability. My lord, the generals under your command are talented individuals, each with an array of skills they can put to use improving your realm. In each commandery, they can be sent on assignments to oversee and improve the infrastructure, both military and civic. Yes, I'm doing that. Thank you. Of your lands. Each character has different qualities to bring to these endeavors. Done. Cao Cao seeks to improve his standing. We need to improve to Marcus. And of course, it has happened. The death of Cao Song. Word has reached you that your beloved father Cao Song has been ambushed and murdered by the vile Tao Chen. There will be time for grieving later, but now your advisors are calling for you to act. Well, of course, we will follow the story. War declared. This is slightly early, to be honest, but it does happen slightly early in the game. Cao Cao has declared war on Tao Chen. A great loss. This death is a disappointment. They were strong, talented, and dependable. In their death, I have lost a valuable pawn. You lost your father. Okay, so that's all good. Character ranks gained. Cao Cao has leveled up, which is only beneficial to us. It never a bad thing. We don't need that. That is quite good. We do want to head up to meditation. We do want Imperious Presence because it's just awesome. Nature's Ally is less effective. Composure and Night Battles is pretty good as well. We'll head off in this direction to get that. We are going to have to change our assignments here. We're going to have to throw in Lady Bian just to make her happy. And let's have a look at the court. Do we have anyone else? No, we still only have these people here. So Liu Kang, we don't really need. He's a genuine person. Yeah, Zhe, we don't really need. These two, no, not overly fussed with any of them. Cao Cao over here, recruit. We could do with. Probably for this army. Actually, some cavalry. That will be expensive. This will be cheaper. These guys are quite pricey too. It does not matter too much. Do you know what? We'll hold off recruiting extra soldiers for him for now. What instead we're going to do is shift over here towards Shapi just to see what he has. In this force here, it doesn't seem to be too much. And then down here, Chen, Ruyang, Chen, that should be a relatively simple garrison. My forces are going to take a lot of time, 2 more turns to muster, which means I may not be able to take it before. Yeah, we may not be able to take it before, but we can still throw in some more soldiers into this force. Get a couple of you boys in here just to build that up, and I think we can have a couple of you boys in here as well, just to build you up, so that we'll be in a good position if we are able to attack. Okay, is there anything else I can add on the diplomatic front? Non-aggression pact with Liu Chong? Not necessarily. That depends if he takes my territory or not, really. Okay, next turn. So I know in Pengcheng I can build something. I'm actually saving money. And there's a reason for that. I'm expecting a character to show up. If that character doesn't show up, then I will spend the money on Pengcheng. But I need the troops and I need that character. We'll see if they show up this turn. It is usually this turn. And here we have the event I was talking about. An adept recruiter. A young administrator in your camp by the name of Yue Jin has gone above and beyond the requirements of his station. Unprompted, he has recruited 1,000 fresh troops from his hometown to join your cause. Elevate him. If you see this troop, elevate him. There is no reason not to elevate him. He was one of the historic best commanders of the time. In this game, he comes in as this sentinel here, Yue Jin. He is a fighty, brave, incredible, talented, reckless individual. The Lion of Yangping. He was a recruiting officer for Cao Cao. He went off, recruited 1,000 men, came back. Cao Cao gave him command of those 1,000 men, and he used him as his vanguard for the majority of his early campaigns, alongside Yu Jin, who should be here too. But I still haven't seen him. But he should be here too. He came to Cao Cao he was already commanding troops in a similar way. He wasn't a recruitment officer. He wasn't then changed, but he came with troops and he joined Cao Cao, and they were used as the rear guard and the vanguard. Both, they led the guerrilla campaigns against Yuan Shao. They were incredible. The game does not like Yu Jin though. It does like Yue Jin, so it's given him unique artwork. So whatever you do, you get him. Now here we have Guo Jia. So this is one of the characters I was looking out for. Once you see Guo Jia up here, you want to recruit him. Now technically at this stage, he should not be available to Cao Cao. He should come a little bit later. But it doesn't matter. The game is dumb. Take him. Take him. Whatever you do, take him and add him to your forces. Now, Ruyang. What do we have in Ruyang? Ruyang has moderate, talentless people. We have a force, I think, that could win. So let us very, very, very quickly go over here and fight this. This will be tough. The game is not going to like this. It says a Pyrrhic victory. Well, if it says a Pyrrhic victory, then I will just take it. I was going to fight it, but as this is a preview, I'm not going to fight it. We're looking at how the faction works. If I can win it, I'll win it. We don't need this army. It's done its job. Occupy, excellent. Commandery secured. Ancillaries gained. A battle axe, which we don't need actually. We also have the option here to upgrade our stuff, so we're going to send foreign envoys out so we can get more wrong button, sorry. We can get more trade going out. Let's get a trade agreement. Let's get a trade agreement with, I think now we can go with Liu Chong. Do we want Liu Chong or do we want Kong Zhou? We'll go with Liu Chong now. That's fine. Sign the deal. Doesn't really matter either way. So we've got some more money coming in, which is just magnificent. Here, by the way, is Xun You, one of the new unique characters. He should not be there. He gets thrown into jail by Dong Zhuo. And he escapes around, I think, 195, 196, and joins his cousin, Xun Yu, who has joined Cao Cao. He comes in and he is the same position, same rank as Guo Jia. Cao Cao had people working in pairs. And he and Guo Jia accompany Cao Cao on campaign to act as his military advisors, and Xun You was regarded to be one of the finest battle tacticians of the time. He wrote down a book of strategies that was praised by his peers and praised by people hundreds of years later, but unfortunately they're all lost to history. So I don't know how these people actually managed to praise it, because many of them are praising it after it was lost. But he is supposed to be one of the finest battle tacticians of the time, and you want to capture him. But he's impossible to capture whilst he's in there because you end up killing him, which is a real bloody shame. Because he should be with you. And he would eventually rise to match Xun Yu, his cousin's rank. Xun Yu was, of course, the head of the Secretariat within Xucheng under the Emperor. And Xun Yu would be the head of the Secretariat in Ye under Cao Cao in the rival court. Very important figure. And it is a shame he starts there. It is a real shame he starts there. Now, on this front, we are going to introduce Guo Jia into this army, because Guo Jia, of course, should be with Cao Cao. He should be nowhere else. We're going to get ready because Tao Qian has an army here. He has Zhang Ba. Zhang Ba, of course, became one of Cao Cao's great commanders too. He was a bandit, and he swore fealty to Cao Cao and would hold this area against Yuan Tan. During the Guandu campaign, eventually crossing over to attack. He would accompany Cao Cao on many campaigns. He would fight alongside Zhang Liao, Xu Huang, and other great generals of the time. He was a very, very solid, reliable commander. And of course, he has Treachery, who is just a nobody. So we don't need to worry about him. We've taken all of this territory. It puts us in a very good position. We just want to build up our forces here just for a little bit. We don't need a huge amount of extra forces. Xiapi is not all that. If you want to see the garrison, it's not all that. It has Mi Zhu, who of course becomes the head propagandist for Liu Bei, as well as he's a very talented officer. Has some territorial archers as well. Some territorial spearmen who are new to this territory over here. And yeah, we will take another turn because Cao Cao has a lot of events that come up. Non-aggression, fine, I'll sign it. That's no problem. Yeah, okay, thank you. We've had enough. And yes, you do have Han Empire troops cocking about around the map. We don't need to worry about them too much. Now, we are looking out for another chap, which is why we're taking one more turn. I don't know if he will show up yet. It doesn't seem so. Revenge is schemed against old adversaries. There is corruption at the heart of the Tao family, which can no longer be tolerated. To avoid betrayal now or in the future, their leader should be confronted and defeated as soon as possible. We just need to destroy him. That's pretty straightforward. We don't need to worry about that. No, unfortunately, we have not got him. So, normally by this stage, and he may arrive in the next turn, but I don't have the time to do another one, a chap called Mao Jie will also arrive. He is a strategist. He historically was one of Cao Cao's more important advisors. He started off as a sort of quartermaster in Cao Cao's camp, but eventually would, alongside Cui Yan, end up heading the recruitment for officers and ministerial positions within Cao Cao's court. He was an incredibly influential, important man. He was feared, absolutely feared, by huge swathes of Cao Cao's court. So he acted as sort of an enforcer. He would eventually piss Cao Cao off enough that it would lead to his demotion and sacking and eventual humiliation and death. But not like Cui Yan, where Cui Yan was ordered to kill himself. Mao Jie was slightly better off, but he was an incredibly important person. More importantly for our purposes in this game, he has fire arrows and night battles too. So were you to hire him and shove him in Cao Ren's army, you have two armies that can fight night battles, which become extraordinarily important because we need to deal with this wanker up here. We need to deal with He Yi in Runan. We need to deal with Yuan Shu. So you will take this army and you can build this army up with those troops. You can deal with Taoqian and you can take Xu province. You can deal with Yuan Shu and take Nanyang. You can deal with He Yi and Runan, basically taking Yu province here. You have Liu Biao, who is a friend of yours-ish at the beginning. You can see his flag's changed as well. And you've got all of this Han territory here, which isn't really much of a threat, and you can take in your own time. You do want to set it up so you can take out Xun You without killing him and by capturing him. Kongzhou doesn't really stand a chance. You can eat him up in time. Liu Dai, you want to take Liu Dai and you want to take Hulao Pass because that will give you access to Yingchuan. If you can wait to take out Yuan Shu by 197, Liu Chong will be dead and you can sweep this whole territory yourself. Fighting Hangul Pass is tough. You see this, Hangul Pass, Wu Pass, Jingjiao, which is Chang'an, the capital. You need to either avoid them by taking the boat, but there are shallows here, so you need to get onto land and cross it and then cross over. It takes a long time, or you need to fight through the passes. It's tough. I'm not going to lie. It's really tough. I've done it. So you want to take this pass here just to defend yourself because eventually you're going to fall out with Yuan Shao, and the passes are really easy to hold. But also, you want to take Luoyang, you want to take Yingchuan, you want to take Nanyang, and you want to take Runan, and basically just have this huge swathe of territory here. And ideally take Dong as well, because that is historically what you would have had. And this will give you a huge amount of power and food that you can use to trade your way to anything. Once you have this, you basically have the Central Plains. You should get an event if you do it in time where you take over the Emperor by taking Luoyang. You will get an event where you get Dianwei. You will get an event when you start to move towards He Yi down here. You will get an event where you get Shuchu. Xun Yu becomes available very, very soon. He actually should become available for Guojia. But I think he's working for Hanfu or Yuan Shao at this time. You want to capture, like I said, Xun You. Lu Bu and people have Zhang Liao. Xu Huang is with Yang Feng, but Yang Feng isn't Yang Feng right now, so he's with the Han army, sort of down here somewhere, which is a little bit of a shame. But you have access to all of these guys if you take out Tao Qian relatively quickly, and can take out certainly Runan He and take Luoyang as fast as you can. But ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you have enjoyed this faction preview. See a few of the changes. The actual immediate surroundings are relatively similar, but because of the map changes, you have to think a little bit differently about how you take over the territory, which makes it a little bit more fun, a little bit more realistic. And certainly when you start to head off towards trying to take out Dongzhuo, though Dongzhuo will be dead by then, take out probably Dongmin or Li Jue or whoever over in Jingzhou, that's when it starts to get really, really interesting. But really hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for joining me. See you next time. Bye-bye.